to the Rediscover Real podcast. My name is Samantha, and I am so thrilled to have you join me on this journey as we rediscover real. And what does that mean? That means to pull back the curtain and come back to the foundations and peel away the layers of mindsets that no longer serve us, of identities and beliefs that no longer serve us, as we want to grow and move forward and show up how God created us to be. Because the bottom line is, at the very core, you and God are everything that you need. You have everything inside of you because God created you absolutely perfect, perfectly imperfect. And we just get to uncover and rediscover what's inside of us and what we're capable of. And so I'm on the journey and you're invited. Together, let's rediscover real in our personal finances, in life, in entrepreneurship, and network marketing. Are you ready? I'm holding out my hand for you. Let's go. We're back. And breathe. It's okay. Today's topic, take a deep breath, is inflation. I know, because everyone's talking about it right now. And quite frankly, I am so sick of hearing about it, like beyond sick of hearing about it. Mostly because I don't hear almost anyone talking about it from a healthy place. And that is probably my biggest pet peeve. So the bottom line is it a fact that can be proven in a court of law that inflation is real? Yes. Yes, it is. Now, just like anything in life, whether from the very worst extreme or day-to-day life of my hair, we can either choose to be a victor or a victim, right? I can choose to be a victim to the hair that God gave me that is beautifully and gorgeously, naturally curly. But for a long time, I held beliefs, a lot of beliefs actually around my hair. That's going to be, hold please, let me write down to do a podcast about my hair, because that's a whole different thing. But in the meantime, I used to feel like I was a victim to the hair that I was given. That it was too curly and it wouldn't listen was my favorite sentence. I literally have a Pinterest board named "If Only My Hair Would Listen." Yeah. Now, it's like I used to, before I had the awareness of how our thoughts and our emotions and our words matter and dictate and determine what our beliefs and our actions are, which in turn is our results. Before I knew that pattern and that cycle, I used to think it was just a cute phrase. Kind of like talking about inflation. Well, it's a thing. And like, yeah, the price of berries is not super ideal if I want to buy a lot of berries right now. And, you know, with the money that I have set aside and allotted for that, for how much of a priority it is in my life. Notice what phrases and how I worded that? What's a priority? The money that I have allotted because I'm in control of my finances. And that's a choice. Could I put more money towards berries and buy all the berries I want? Yeah, I could. But what's a priority for me? So, inflation. It's okay. Inflation has been happening forever. Now, is there a larger increase going on right now continually? Yes. Is it annoying, bothersome, and somewhat challenges our beliefs and our mindsets and our patterns and the way of operating and doing things? Yeah, quite possibly. Is that a bad thing? Only if we want it to be. So, here's the thing. If we come at this from a victim perspective of inflation is happening to me and it's so bad and there's nothing I can do about it, and you'll hear this phrase a lot on the podcast probably of, I'm just going to wallow in my swamp, my green, icky, think like Shrek's ogre, stinky swamp with a paper straw. And we all know how long paper straws last. So if you really want to wallow in that swamp with your paper straw, that's probably going to get a hole in it real quick. Go for it. I'm not joining you. Like, I love you and I care about you and I want to see you succeed. But I'm on the journey. I'm going places and you're invited, but you don't have to come. I'm not dragging you along. I will give you the tools that you need, and that's what I'm here for, to help give you the tools, but you get to decide what you want to do with this. And if you want to do something with it, or if you want to sit in that swamp with your paper straw and say, life's not fair, inflation's not fair, why does this keep happening to me? This is so bad. I'm never going to be able to reach my goals or get where I want to get. Can you tell I'm a little bit passionate about this? So, if you have thought any of those thoughts, I want to encourage you to flip some of those thoughts. How can you, instead of being a victim and continuing to sit in that victim swamp? Now, because sometimes there are things where you are the victim to a circumstance, but you get to choose what your outcome is, what you do with that, and how you move forward, right? We all have seen people where they continue to sit in that swamp for years, right? Like, just because they got rained on, then they like go sit in the deepest mud puddle they can find and they stay there because they think they're stuck, right? And they can't leave. And it's just like the lot they've been given in life, and they have to stay down there. They have to stay in that swamp with their paper straw and pray that God gives them a new paper straw, before the last one completely disintegrates. That's not what God wants for us. And that's not what we're called to. And that does not serve us. It doesn't serve us in a way to reach our goals and move forward. It may serve you in ways that feel comfortable, like being able to say that, like, oh, me too. Oh, inflation, it gives us excuses. It gives us easy ways out. It gives us, options out of having to, do uncomfortable things or push. It allows us to have the excuse to not go after our dreams and our goals, or to dream bigger, because we're like, well, inflation, right? This is stepping on some toes right now. No, this is in love, but I'm also not one to beat around the bush or to sugarcoat things, because that doesn't help. So how are you going to flip that script and step into being a victor? How can you look at the circumstance and go, okay, that's not maybe what I was hoping for. That's not ideal. I'm a little disappointed because I was, really headed some cool directions and places. How can I adjust? Taking accountability and ownership and being a victor. How can I readjust and continue on my course? And readjust my course and continue on a new course. What do I need to add? What do I need to adjust and shift? How do I get to show up? By being a victor. And because that means to choose to be victorious, right? We're not letting our circumstances dictate our outcomes, right? So what's the shift that you get to make, that you want to make today around inflation? What's a phrase you've been saying? And maybe it's as simple as, when you go to buy berries at the grocery store, instead of going, oh, they're so expensive, like, I really want berries though. How about you go into it with, okay, I know roughly what the price of berries are going to be. Shouldn't shock me too much. Do I find value in that? Is it worth it to me to have fresh berries in my house? The answer is yes. And then I get to look at my finances and go, okay, does this get to be a priority? the essential power, the power bill is paid for. I'm able to put gas in my vehicle to get to work. Okay, do I have the margin right now to be able to say the berries are a priority? The answer is yes. Then go buy the stinking berries and be thrilled about it. That you get to go spend that money. I bought raspberries a couple days ago. I think they were $7 for a container. And I got to walk through that because I was like, okay, is this a priority? Yes. Do I have the money in my bank account? Like, this is a priority that, I have the money in my bank account. The other, baseline requirements to survive are covered. So does this get to be a priority? Is this something that I want to be a priority with the money, that I have in my bank account? And the answer was yes. And so then I could buy the berries and check out with the berries, and I wasn't looking at my receipt going, oh, I spent $7 on a little container of raspberries. It was, I'm so thankful and grateful that I had $7 in my bank account to go buy raspberries. Okay, I got a little bit of goosebumps there, but it felt so good, you guys. Because in the past, for years, oh gosh, I'm not going to cry over this. We're not going to cry over raspberries today. There were so many years before quote unquote inflation got really bad, right? All those words. There were so many years that when raspberries were $4, I'd be like, oh, and then I beat myself up. Well, you shouldn't have bought the raspberries. That was a silly choice, and then, well, maybe the raspberries sat and you didn't eat them and they got thrown out because half the over 52% of the average household's food gets thrown out, just a side note. And I'd sit in that like, oh, poor me, if berries were just cheaper, I messed up, shame and guilt and all the icky feelings, instead of going, I'm so thrilled. I'm so thankful that I have the money to spend on berries or whatever that thing is. And then stewarding it well and eating the berries and not throwing out half of my food, right? So whatever that thing is, the last piece with inflation that I want to talk about, just because it's a fact that I have seen, is not everything costs more right now. Period, end of story. Lots of things have gone up in price, yes. There's also lots of things that are coming down in price. And so learning on a tactical, now that you've dealt with the mindset, on a tactical, tangible level, I have seen multiple items that I have bought, for instance, a blender, the exact same blender, model, accessories, all the things. It's $50 to $90 cheaper now than it was 5-10 years ago when I first started buying that blender, which is a different story why I keep buying that blender. That's for a different day. But so not and there's multiple other examples of that. Not everything costs more. So again, with that victim, what we focus on expands. And what we talk about and fixate on and all of those things, you'll continue to see more of, and it'll continue to expand. Personally, I really love the fact that, and I want to focus on the fact that, a blender has dropped almost like 50% in price. And that wasn't like a sale price. That was the regular price. And it's been on multiple items. So I'm going to focus on those things. And that's what I'm going to focus. So, and I could, oh gosh, I could get into this so much more, but I cover a lot of this kind of in my courses and with coaching and stuff as well. But what we focus on expands, and paying attention to what we're focusing on and managing the stories that we're telling ourselves are so, so important. So, challenge you this week. Look for what you want to see. Where can you see expansion? Where can you see items being less costly, right? Where can you just step into gratitude when you go down that, like, hey, is this a priority? Yes. If I'm going to buy the item, I'm going to walk out of here and continue to sit in gratitude and thankfulness that I purchased this item, that I'm eating these raspberries. They're delicious, guys. So I hope that's been encouraging. Tell me your takeaways. Tell me, if there was a one line shift for you, one different perspective shift. Tag me. I can't wait to hear. And we'll see you all again soon. And there is another episode of the Rediscover Real podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you came away with a different perspective, maybe a thought to mull over for a little while, a new mindset shift that you want to make, or you came away encouraged and enlightened, I would so appreciate it if you would share this with your friends and tag me, of course. I would love to hear your takeaways, and also leave a review so that more people can learn about this podcast. In the meantime, until another episode comes out, I hope you keep digging in, and just remember that I'm on the journey, you're invited. Let's keep rediscovering the real you. Let's go.